Welcome to the Any Given Chance podcast. Stories about passion and sacrifice. What actually goes on behind the scenes in the consistent chase of everything. We're going to bring you some untold stories, some of people you know, some of people you don't. These stories that we bring on with our guests are nothing short of inspiring and will get you out there chasing your own goals as well. Join me, your host, 3am 365, Matty Menyon, as we dive into these incredible stories. And of course, as the podcast grows, so do we together. So stick with us from the start, hit that like and share, subscribe button, get your family and friends involved, and we'll see where we are in 100 podcasts. No days off, no excuses. Massive shout out to our sponsor, Squad Athletica. Guys, this training gears, you got the training singlets, the shirts, they've got absolutely everything. They've got the 12-inch shorts, the 16, everything that you need for the running. It doesn't stop there. They've got yoga mats, they've got drink bottles, they've got you covered at all bases. I'm telling you, this training gear is rivaling Nike, it's rivaling Under Armour, it's at the forefront. And the best thing about it is it's right here on the Gold Coast. So support a local business. You can jump over their Instagram. It's at SQD Athletica, or you can jump online and check out their shop, Squad Athletica. Go through, select your little things, what you want to buy, new hoodies for winter, whatever training gear you need, and then type in your AGC code at the end, which will give you a little discount. That's AGC in the little coupon code. Can't thank you enough, and make sure you get out there and get in your squad gear. Woo! Big shout out to one of our sponsors, Black Rose Barbers. That's right. Go see Liam and the boys over at Black Rose Barbers. They're located on Lakeview Boulevard over at Mermaid Waters, right in between the Good Life and the 7-Eleven. Walk out of there feeling $1,000,000. The boys can cut hair, and he even does the cutthroat razor if you want to feel really fresh and fit on a Friday. You can book online at blackrose.com, or you can get on the phone and give them a call, but go support your local business. And the best thing about Black Rose Barber, you can sit in that chair and talk maximum amount of crap. You know why? Because the boys have got the answers. They'll solve the world's problems with you. I'm telling you now, they're a bunch of legends. Go support them. Tell them Matty from AGC sent you. Mate, welcome to Any Given Chance podcast. Got a special one for you today. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Piers Austin, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Mate, I was on the stalk. I was on the Insta stalk. I was looking at myself, check this like out. How good is he going? Mate, if you don't mind, just give everyone, all the listeners, all the people watching at home, just give them a run through what you're up to.
I am the host of the greatest podcast in the world, Shooting the Shit Uncensored. I am the truth, the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. Man, I'm a ring announcer, a commentator for professional wrestling and combat sports such as boxing, Muay Thai, and mixed martial arts. I'm also a professional wrestling personality, character, I suppose you want to call that. You know, podcaster of professional wrestling, combat sports, comedy, music, you name it. I do it on my podcast, and man, I'm just, very fortunate to be living the life that I am and for the opportunities that I have.
Man, wow. I need to work on my vocabulary. Your level's up here, the flow off the tongue. I've still got that Aussie ochre, because I run a company in building as well. Like I've got a podcast. I've been a professional sportsman most of my life. And then our building. So I've got to switch between the two, because you talk tradie and it's, you get the ochre thing, then you got to talk business, and then you try and transition into podcast where, you don't have that too much slang and chat with your mates. But mate, that just rolled off the tongue. How good. So
Thank you.
Professional wrestling, ring announcer. I mean, we were just talking about this quickly off air.
Oh, sure.
We grew up, I think we're about the same age. You're, I'm 38, 39. So we grew up in that era of Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, everyone coming through where, WWF, wasn't it? The Federation back in the day.
Yeah, the Fed,
before they transitioned. And it was entertainment to a max. Like it was the best. It was the best. That's all you could say it as a 14-year-old grommet. That's all you wanted to watch. Right. So, mate, how'd you get into it?
I was a fan like everyone else, man. Like I was a kid and I started off as like everyone else, man. Like I'm 41, bro. So like back in the 80s, like I was like just little when it was like the wrestling boom, which happened, which changed, which was like then, like you got to think, bro, back in that time, like Hulk Hogan was probably a bigger star than like a Michael J. Fox and a fucking Michael Jackson, right? Like as far as pop culture in the 80s and the 90s, like Hulk Hogan was like Coca-Cola, right? He was just a brand.
He was in the and what signified that was Rocky. He was in Rocky.
100%. But that's before he blew up.
Yeah.
That was what, 4 or 5 years before, even longer, I think it might have been.
What was he in that? What was his name?
Thunderlips.
Thunderlips. Yeah.
It's wild though, because he was at the Fed at the time for Vince McMahon Senior's dad, Vince McMahon's dad, Vince Senior. And he went to Vince Senior and said, "Hey, I've got this opportunity to be in the movie." And he said, "No, if you go do that, you're kind of exposing the business. You know, blah, blah, blah. You know, if you do that, you can't work here." And he goes, "Well, fuck it. I'm going to go be in Rocky." Like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of a no-brainer. Goes and does the movie. And then eventually years later goes back there and becomes, you know, the biggest star of all time. But that's, he kind of like drew me into wrestling when I was a young kid. And then I kind of saw like, you know, Roddy Piper and him doing the bad shit, like, you know, cracking coconuts over Jimmy Snuka's head. And you know what I mean? Like, I always had a thing for the baddies, you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, like I resonated with that shit. And even my parents would be like, why isn't he going for like a good guy here? He's like, you know what I mean? But even like, dude, I'm the kind of person, man, I was going for like Johnny and the Karate Kid, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
that was just, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, man, like I just saw something in the bad guys, bro. So
look, if you weren't Team Johnny back in the day, back in the 80s, you definitely are now with Cobra Kai. Like that new series, I thought it was going to be absolutely terrible. And then he stole it, mate. Without him, that TV show doesn't go anywhere. So, mate, what a transition. But yeah, I understand. And then it just, you know, being a teenager around that zone, it just took off. Like you said, Stone Cold, Mankind, D-Generation X, you know, it had Triple H. Everyone just came booming. It was like the perfect storm for us, for kids' entertainment.
But it was the perfect time for society, right? Like that's kind of what it was, with that sort of like shock culture, that sort of in your face, that kind of like, you know, the what's his name? The American DJ.
Guetta.
No, the guy, the famous guy. He made a movie about his life in the 90s as well. He's an American like radio personality. He was like real controversial.
Oh, this is where we need a podcast manager or someone on the internet on the side. Not Larry King. It's not like Larry King. It's like I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
he's everywhere.
And he's got a lady who was like his like co-host sort of thing, and then he's got midgets and like all these weird. I'm sitting here like doing my head in now. Remember the name of the movie? It was called Private Parts.
Here we go. I got it.
Movie, so Howard Stern.
Howard Stern. Hey, what about anybody listened just then was like, you idiots. You idiots. Yeah. Howard Stern. Stay Howard Stern. Howard Stern.
But that was that kind of time where like, and in wrestling, they were doing all that sort of like suck at shit and, you know what I mean, keeping people off. And as a teenager's, like when you go through like that teenage angst where you like go through either that like gangster rap stage back in the 90s, you either went through the gangster rap stage or you went through the grunge rock and roll stage, Nirvana sort of stage. And it's like both sides of that could resonate with what was happening. And I think they were really smart with how they booked it all and put it all together. But yeah, so I worked with Vince Russo, who was the head writer, and basically came up with a lot of the stuff for like Stone Cold and The Rock and, you know, Mankind during that time and that era. So that was pretty crazy to be able to learn from him as well. So yeah, I worked for him for like 2 years, Vince Russo for like 2 years.
So how old were you then?
When I worked for him, that was like not too long ago. It was like the last 2 years. Like I'd like probably last year, I stepped away from it and just sort of like, because I was like running a podcast network. When I started off, it was like a small little group of us doing it. And then it just became my thing. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to start a podcast network, had everything under like MWA podcast network, like YouTube channel, bought all like these different personalities, like former professional wrestlers and current professional wrestlers, and set up different types of podcasts and had like a show dropping every single day of the week, had like producers working on shit. And then as well as like, we had 7 shows we had, plus I was doing my show over on the Vince Russo network as well. So it was kind of like, like I did that for a while, and then it just got to a point probably about a year ago where I just went, you know what, this is all too much.
Yeah.
Strip it back. I just need to do my thing. And it was getting to a stage of like, I don't enjoy podcasting anymore.
No,
like, I don't enjoy, I'm just fucking done. Like like it would get to a point where it's like, oh fuck, I got to do a podcast tonight. Okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's why, but now I'm back to the point where it's like, yeah, I get to podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's the shit that I love to do now. And it's because it's like, now I'm doing my thing. I'm focused. I know where I want to go and where I'm determined to get to. And
Yep.
it's like, I've got a good crew that work with me that help, accentuate the podcast with graphics and shorts and all that sort of stuff. So I'm very lucky in that sense as well.
Mate, I can say it 100%. Like this, for us, podcasting like this right now is fun. This is the best. Everything else behind the scenes, the learning about cameras, the Rodecaster Pros, the plugging in the mics, that doesn't work. Oh, you bumped your cord and you lost half your audio. Oh, man, the sending it off to the team, the downloading it. I just, like, coming from being a businessman, look, I'm the same. I always wanted to be an entertainer, or, I've always been an entertainer while playing professional sports. I always saw it as, yes, I'm a professional sportsman, but I'm here to entertain as well. I'm here to enjoy myself and go through that. But all this back end stuff, because I started probably about, would it be about 3 years ago or 4 years ago as well?
Yeah, right.
Well, probably 3, with 2 Kmart speakers with me mates. And I was like, I was a bit different though. I wasn't doing the entertainment thing. I was like in my zone of fitness and, working hard and that same mentality that I had from being a professional sportsman.
Yeah.
And people were sharing their stories with me. And I was just going on these massive emotional roller coasters. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, if I got to pull this back, because if I keep doing this, like, these people deserve, immense respect, and I need to produce this to a level where it's, worthy of them telling their stories. Because it's all right when it's, like you said, you're shooting your shit with your mates and all that and talking crap. You can film it on whatever you want and get it out there. But when it gets deep and that journey, but same thing. I know I've got these podcasts, like exactly what you were saying about doing too much, because everyone was relying on you. It's like, oh, this needs to happen. But if Austin is not here, well, it's not going to happen. And then it's going to bank up. Then you got 3 to do. And then other people are out of work or something's not that. So it doesn't become fun.
Yeah.
But like I said, with building, every conversation is fix a problem. Hey, mate, fix a problem. Hey, this is a problem. So I'm running, boys, and there's no positive. And then I get to podcast and chat to fine fellow like you, and this is fun. Like, everything's positive. Everything's, how good's this? So
yeah, man. But that's the thing. Is like, for me, I looked at podcasting and I was like trying to like really navigate it probably for the last 3 years. And I'd probably say in the last maybe 6 months, I probably get it now. Like, I really understand what it is to do. I've had to, like, in the last 6 months, man, like, I've probably tripled to quadrupled my audience just by doing certain things or having certain people on and asking hard hitting questions, bro. And just not stepping away from the truth. So it's like, when people step onto my show, they know that this is going to be no bullshit. This is going to be like, man, you're sitting here, like, we're breaking down the fourth wall. Like, if you're from the pro wrestling world, you come on and you try and be in character on this show, like, nah, homie, that ain't gonna work here, bro. Like,
yeah,
there's some real shit, dude. We're gonna talk, and if there's some real drama been going on or there's some bullshit been going on, then yeah, man, we talk about it, bro. I give my guests the respect and opportunity to come on and tell their story. I give them that same respect to get anything that they have on their chest off their chest. You know what I mean? And like, I've had other people get upset with me and get mad at me for some things that other people say on my podcast, bro. And like, I just simply sit back and go, like, take it up with the person that said the words, like, straight up. Like, you're getting upset because you're either not on the level to be on my podcast and you're trying to have a cry about it publicly. You're upset about the person who said it, but you're too chicken shit to go and address it with them. So you come and trying to address it with me. Thanks for being a fan. You know what I mean? Like, let's be real. Like, thanks for watching. I appreciate the view. Like that. Oh, thanks for listening. I appreciate the download, whatever it may be. Like,
isn't it weird like that though? And welcome to the internet world as well. How good, throwing shade from afar. But isn't it weird how, like, I've done it. Like, I'm just testing those things that you've said about, changing it up. Positivity, getting out all the stories that, the content that I want to produce. Just did a test last night. Give a little spray about the soccer, the Matildas, about the half the French team, wanting to look like dudes, like getting men's haircuts and all that. And then just a little post like that, comments, everything, like feeding me, non-responses. And I was like, these little punks haven't said one great thing about, you know, how I'm talking about time as currency or how to set yourself up in the future or how to, you know, make yourself better or anything like that. But you drop one little bit of shade on someone and bang, there's that little tick, isn't it? It's always the little ones.
But you know what? Like it's even now where like I think that that's where like society is in so much ways where it's like people just want a reason to get offended now. And it's like it doesn't matter what it is. But then it's like the people that are the most wokest, bro, they're the ones with the darkest fucking skeletons in their closets. You know what I'm saying? Like, no joke. Like, that's like, you know, that's the thing I find most hilarious is the people that sit there and try and be the biggest chest beaters and the, you know, the biggest like, oh, you know, let's stand up for like the right thing. And no, we should be like the most tolerable about everything and everyone and every. Yeah, right.
Yeah, nah.
As soon as we find out what they did a couple months back.
Yeah.
Mate,
I'm too busy. I'm honestly too busy I'm running like 4 or 5 things, trying to get sponsorships for athletes, trying to do all this because that's what this podcast is about. You know, if we can start generating revenue, well, then I get to sponsor these kids who are in the midst of it, you know, and we've got a couple of good ones coming on now. Ultrabet, it's a new bookmaker in Australia, Australian owned. So we don't have to deal with, you know, Ladbrokes and all that, but their revenue that's going to, you know, hopefully start coming in a couple of months. I'll be able to take that and give that $1,000 to, you know, an athlete, and that 1,000 might be able to let him train for 2 weeks or get him to America to a you know, a camp or just enough for his accommodation over there. But you have to do it right, because if I don't, you know, do what you say and get someone upset or offended on the way, you're staying at 100 views. So it's a weird sort of industry, isn't it?
It's not even that. It's not even like, but people will find something to get upset about, man. Like, and it's like, and that's the thing. Like I've had people like months ago, I had a podcast, and I won't go into too much detail because I've covered it so much. Like
just give us the episode.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. But, you know what I mean? So I had this podcast and something was said on this by someone, and like other people reacted to it publicly. And then like next thing you know, like I'm getting like people sending me threats going, man, you're a pig. And I hope your kids die of cancer in your arms and you rot and die. And like, you know what I mean, bro? And I'm like, man, I get it. I put myself out there as a public figure and whatnot. And I put myself, like, I live my whole life on the internet, clearly. I accept that, man, but I don't put my kids out there. You know what I mean? Like, besides the occasional Facebook post, I don't put my wife and kids out there publicly just because it's like, my wife doesn't want to be out there, and my kids, bro, like they don't need to be in my world just yet. No. Wait till they're older or whatever. It's not needed. But yeah, like I got shit like that thrown at me, bro, and I just put it out there publicly. And I said, man, this is what I said. People get. Yeah, I said, yeah, it's great to be outraged about what people say and words that people say, but sending someone like something like this, that's the right answer to address it. Yeah. And it's like straight away, I got so much love and support thrown my way. Yeah, I mean, podcasters to people inside the wrestling business and everything like that, where it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, that's when I was starting to see it's like, all right, well, now it doesn't really faze me what people.
Yeah. It's like, it is. People forget about this in 3 minutes or 5 minutes or whenever. A week later, it's done. They don't remember your name. It's gone. It's just whatever they can get upset at the moment. But that sort of transition and all this sort of, you know, work, that chimes into your work because, you know, you're now like ring announcing for like, how do you describe the pro wrestling scene in Australia? I'll start with that because, you know, it's very, what is it? How is it? Where is it? Like I struggle to find it.
I mean, it's everywhere, man. It's in every major state. Like, and you know, it's like any industry. There's great wrestling and then there's some really bad shit out there. Like, I'm not going to lie. But there's some big promotions. There's some doing some good things. The scene is strong, man. There's a lot of great talent out there. And, you know, the wrestling business is a weird and interesting world. Like until you're in it and until you're around it, like you don't understand it. Like there could be the smartest fan who has never been backstage at any type of show or anything like that and think that they know how it is. No, you have no idea what it is like. You know, you have no idea what, you know what I mean? Like some of the personalities that you deal with as well, like, even though like, it's not like the, you know what I mean? Like it's still like a pretty decent big stage at certain things and stuff like that. But how people sort of can carry on and act like they think that their shit doesn't stink. And it's like, mate, like settle down. Like I've seen you wrestle. Like you're not world breaking, mate. Like just settle the down. You know what I mean? But like I would never criticize someone's work in ring wise because I've never done it. I'm not doing it. I'm not a trained wrestler. So like one of the biggest insults in wrestling is if you're not in the business and you try and correct shit or you try and say certain things, it's like, well, who are you? You know what? Like I can sit there and go, well, yeah, you're not really that good. Like, so just hold up. You know what I mean?
Well, there's two levels to that, isn't there? There's, I think my shit doesn't stink and I'm fucking epic. And, you know, look at me, look how good you're going. You're going, oh, bro, you're not that good. Or, you know, someone who doesn't put in an effort. Then you can throw a shot, mate, what are you doing? You're at 50%. This guy's throwing his heart and soul into it. He's trying to do his job and you're mucking around and rolling around and, you know, taking the piss. It comes down to a respect of time.
You see that though. That's exactly what it's like in wrestling. There's people that are dedicated to this and there's people that are like just don't train or they've trained for like 3 months and think they're like ready for the main stage, bro. Where in reality, they shouldn't even be anywhere near a fucking show. And that's a straight thing where I've sort of said that multiple times before and it's caused a bit of drama where it's like, well, sorry, man, like it is what it is. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can't just put in three weeks worth of work and go, yeah, man, I'm ready to go and like be on any show. Like, no. Even like wrestlers have been doing this for years, still go and train every single week.
Every single day.
Up and, you know what I mean? Like, or multiple times a week. You know what I mean? Like, well, a lot of stuff.
Yeah. My concept and what I tell everyone is just there is no days off. So that's it. My drink up at 3 a.m. every morning, train. And I've said it a million times on this podcast as well. You know, a year to get a grasp of what you're doing, 2 to 3 years, you're getting good at it. 5 years, you know what you're doing. You're a tradesman. And then at 10 years, you're an expert and then you can start throwing your weight around. But the whole 3-month thing and, I'm ready to get out there and yeah, man, it stings. It stings sometimes watching people do that. But I guess, do you think, well, my question before we sort of got on down that rabbit hole was, do you think people who want to be wrestlers know what they're in for, know like the athletic ability that they need to have or the persona that they need to have? Or do you think they see it as a kid growing up going, hey, that'd be fun, let's go do it. And then realize how much, you actually have to be able to do? Because people just think, it just goes things. But nowadays you got to be good to entertain.
Every wrestler I've spoken to, and like I'm friends with quite a few wrestlers as well, and they've told me this was the hardest thing they've ever done in their life. Like they've come from other athletic backgrounds, whether it be combat sports, or rugby league, rugby union, or, gymnastics, anything that they've come with an athletic background. Or like some people have come from like an entertainer background, like for someone who did like musicals and plays and stuff like that, this is kind of what, wrestling is. It's entertainment. It's a display of sport. It's athleticism. It's all these wonderful, amazing things. It's entertainment. But these people always say that it's so hard because you have to understand it's like when they fall down, they're throwing themselves backwards onto that mat. Mm-hmm. And I've said this before, but it's like throwing yourself backwards, right? Unless you've done like even people that start to do judo or Japanese jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, where it's like a lot of that is learning how to land and break fall, which is what you do when you start learning in pro wrestling training, is learning how to back fall. That is unnatural just to do that. Most people, you go to throw yourself backwards, you're going to turn to try and brace yourself because it's just that mental reaction. So it's having to break that to be able to do that and tuck your chin and know how, you know what I mean? Because there's all these different things, because the slightest wrong move could leave you paralyzed.
Yeah. Especially some of the positions and like you said, it's the level. It's now, this is people's entertainment level. Like we can't just watch Daffy Duck or Mickey Mouse in the morning anymore. That shit's gone. We can't just throw someone through a table or come off the top rope of a ladder or the ring on the side. It's got to be big. It's got to be like,
I mean, that's the thing, that's where it is at this level, like that, because I think the fans have seen everything. A lot of times that wrestling now is, from you see can be very fast paced, where it's like, and like a lot of people go, slow it down, because it's like they're not giving like the audience the chance to breathe, or even like giving moves the chance to breathe. So it's like bang, 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 like bang, get up, sell to the audience. Yeah, look at that shit. Look at that. I'm the fucking man. Yeah, get your extra bit of heat. Boo, boom. Then do something. Oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you know what I mean? Like just by slowing it down, then you get more investment from the crowd. And even now, like you don't see that much in professional wrestling, even at that high level where people do it. It's just very quick, very fast paced because like one, I think that's what like the audience has now become accustomed to, but also the thing is as well, like you look at quick digestible content like TikTok, Instagram reels, a minute, you know what I mean? Like you got a minute to grab someone's attention.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to do the most outlandish, wildest shit to draw people into your product.
But I think that I think some of those moves go missed. Then, you know, some of the stuff, because he's gone, you know, bang, flip around, over, bang, flip, done that. And like that was fucking amazing. That was insane. But then he's gone and done 3 or 4 more things and come off the top rope. And you're not processing, you know, what actually happened. Like if they did that on an athletic or a gymnastics floor or something like that, people would be throwing scores. Going, wow. But because you've just thrown 3 or 4 of them together, everyone's like, yeah, okay, sweet. What happened? Oh, yeah. So the pauses and patience. That's right. I think it's not used in entertainment at the moment. That's a very good point, because as soon as you said that, it just went, oh, yeah, look how many times I've just grazed past all these amazing shit that, you know, would have stopped, you know
stopped
the crowd.
But it's one of these things. I did at this show in Maitland. So I managed 2 guys in a stable called Just Business. And so the first match, like I come out with with our guy Banks, who's this guy who's about 6'3", about 120, 130 kilo, just muscle, like just a big lad. And he comes out and we cut a promo and like the promoter said, yeah, we want you to cut a live promo, Pierce. Like this is what we want you to do. And I sort of went out there and I said a few lines. I'm just like, you know, because like some of the crowd knew me from the podcast, so I get a bit of a cheer when I'm out there. I'm like, no. You think I need your approval from some moron inbred chicks from Maitland? Get the fuck out. You know what I mean? Like, beat it. And then I'm like dropping stuff like that. So automatically I've had them turn on me. And then, but the point I was making is like, then by the time I said, anyone who wants to come out and get made famous by Banks, bring it out. So this kid comes out, you know, like a lot smaller than Banks, and gets in. And I was just like saying the microphone. I just went, and I thought, I'm going to slow it down here. I went, sorry, we need to stop the show. We have a lost child. So what is your name, son? And then he stood there and looking at me. I went, oh, I know you. Stop for a second. I go, you're the Make-A-Wish kid. That's right. Listen, buddy, you need to go and take a seat. Wait till after the show. Bring me $50 and then we'll get a photo and give you an autograph. Okay, go on. Look. And then it was his moment to step in and try and go, who the F are you? As he stepped into me, Banks comes in. Boom.
Bang, it's on.
And then we get the crowd reaction. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
get to me, I've said all the shit, right? The crowd's gone, how could you say that? Blah, blah, blah. He's gone to go, I'm going to get you, you little prick. And then before he could even put a hand on me, I've hid behind the big guy going, hey.
Yeah, I'm good.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm out of here, man. You got to deal with this brother now. And it was just the thing, is just taking the time with it and just being like, not rushing out the words and just letting the crowd understand what I'm saying each line, you know?
Man, there's some special people who can do that, you know, just hold that pause and hold that attention. And it's, very underrated, mate, but let's bring it back before the promoters, before all that, let's round it right back. Like, okay, how did you get into your first actual commentating gig? Like who called you up and where was it and what did you do? And were you shitting yourself? What happened?
So yeah, like I was contacted literally in 1 week by 3 promotions. 1 for ring announcing, 2 for commentary. And I'm like, yeah, cool, do it. The first place I commentated was for a company called PWA, which is probably by far the largest and top promotion in the country. And they said, hey, they run their shows, PWA Black Label, where they're adult themed shows and, you know, held in places like the Metro. They've been at the Metro Theatre. They've been at Liberty Hall, now it's called. So they've done very large venues. And this was their like academy show, or not. This is like a green label show. So like an all ages show for kids and everyone. So they asked me to come and commentate on that. And I was commentating like next to JT Robinson, who had been like a, you know, 20-year vet in the business who's now no longer wrestles, but it's a coach at PWA. And also Jack Bonza, who is like the head guy of PWA, but also like a professional wrestler and pretty intimidating guy. And I've got these two guys right next to me, and I'm like, all right, how's this going to play out? And then they were just like, yeah, so we're pretty much thinking you're going to do like playboy. Like, yeah, I mean, like there wasn't really much. So like, yeah, we'll kind of get you to do a bit of color. I'm like, all right, cool. And then I'm trying to like get in there, but I was hesitant because I was like, I didn't want to go, oh, look at this guy. He's a mark, like whatever. Or like, who are you? Like, who are you to say that? You know what I mean? Like, what have you done in this bit? So I was kind of like a little bit like
imposter syndrome.
Not imposter syndrome, man. I was just sort of held back, and I was just like taking it in and just like looked for opportunities, didn't like try and overspeak or just like overindulge too much. I was just like, boom, boom, like just short and precise with what I was saying, and just tried to make it relevant and stuff like that. But I was just like, man, like most big shows that I've done, I've just always been glad. Like I just get through it and be like, fuck, it's over. Like that was great. But like, I'm glad I got it done. You know what I mean? Like it's wild.
How do you prepare for something like that? Like, is it something that comes naturally because you've watched or been around it so much that you can see things and it just, and speaking is obviously, one of your talents, but do you prepare like behind the scenes? You're like, okay,
No, like basically like for a lot of things, like it depends. Like if I've got the full card and I know the breaking the fourth wall here, if I know the outcomes, cool. But if I don't know the outcomes, I prefer it because then it's like, okay, I can give you a natural reaction then of like, you know what I mean? Like how my character would respond if I was surprised or, no question that person won or whatever. You know what I mean? So like, I always sort of think that that's like a cool way for like all commentators, I think should never know the result, like the end of matches, just because I think that like, unless there's something spectacular that's happening or there's something like specific that they need to like really emphasize at the finish on, then sure. But like, yeah, like I would say, hey, like, what are you guys wanting to get out of this match? What's the story being told here? Like, is this going to be an ongoing feud? Like, what do you want to get out of it? Have you guys wrestled before? What's some little tasty tidbits I can find out? What have you been, what's your character what would your character do to unwind? Or what, would your character be, going and having a few beers after the show? Or, like, are you going to be back in the gym? Like, have you been, all these little things that you can sort of ask people is like, because their characters are so unique and so different. It's like, you could have a character that's a party animal who's like, whole character would be like, train, nah, man, I'll just get on it and, go hard. But in reality, they train 7 days a week for fucking, 2 days, 7 days a week. So you just try and get as much information. You try and understand what story they want to tell. Yep. Because like the thing is like for most of the time with professional wrestling commentary, and this is something a lot of commentators need to realize, it's not about you as a commentator. Like it's never about you as a commentator. And soon as like some commentators need to understand that and get that through their heads, that it's never about the commentator, because you're there to emphasize the story. You're there to give that extra emotion to the audience watching at home.
Yeah.
So if you sit there and go, oh, well, I wouldn't have done that. And, shut the fuck up.
Oh,
like, dude, I worked with a young kid who did commentary. He was 18 and he was like, he turned up, he was so scruffy. And like it was his first time doing commentary and the promoter goes to me, I want you to like points to me, he goes, I want you to be a heel color, which means bad guy color. Like whatever. And I'm like, I went, okay. I said, dude, this kid hasn't done I said, maybe just let me do the play-by-play. And he goes, nah, man, I don't want this kid to think to start doing a character and stuff like that. And I go, okay, no dramas, whatever. And we sit down there and we said, like, you're just doing play-by-play. And I'm sitting there and I've got like sunglasses on like this, right? And this kid's looking at me and he's intimidated. And I'm just like sat there and I've like said this like the most outlandish shit going, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And this kid just turned, looked at me and on the headset goes, yeah, I agree with you, Pierce. And I've just gone. And like, we've gone to a break in the broadcast. And I'm like, dude, never agree with me.
No.
He goes, why not? I said, because, dude, I'm supposed to see the logic in what the bad people do, which is there is no logic to it. Yeah, like that's where you're supposed to go. Are you fucking serious, brother? Like, you need to. Are we watching the same thing here? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, you seemed pretty mean and angry. And I'm like, because I'm playing a character.
It's not me, it's my character.
It's part of
man.
this is what they want. Like, yeah, dude. Like, I've had that happen a couple of times, man, where people have been like, and they go, oh, I didn't really like what you said there. I'm like, oh, did you get worked?
Yeah.
Like, you're in the business and you're like, but a lot of the times, like, if in a promo, like if I have to say something, like now that if I'm a manager or whatever, before a show, I'll be saying to that person we did that promo with that I told you about earlier, I told him word for word, verbatim what I was going to say. They said, oh, we want you to do a minute promo. I went, okay, cool. I got that. And they go, what are you going to say? And I went, bang, just off the cuff. I went, and the guy was standing there and I went, and I'm going to be like that. You're going to step to me. I put it together and the promoter just went, beautiful, go for it.
Yeah, so that's the work that goes behind the scenes. That's the imagination, the fire that, links this all together. Because otherwise, as good as, like, just use an analogy, rugby league is, you've got the difference. Rugby league with good commentators, with rabs going, they're down the sideline. You're out of your chairs at home, and that's their job. I mean, when you're at the game, you're engaged in the game and you're watching it. But as soon as they kick off, you sort of miss it. You miss that. Hey, where's Rabs? Like that signature voice that just brings you to and hones in the focus on what's going on. So, mate, how did you do the villain? Where did that come? Did you just decide, nah, this is, like you said, I resonate with these people and this is the character that I'm going to be good at? Or did you test the waters at certain shows? Did you go the other way? Like,
look, it was never like, it was always like when we started it, like, cause it was on commentary that I was just like, and I wasn't like a straight out prick.
Yeah.
It would just be like, insult the guy. I'm making fun of the guy that I'm working with. Like, I go, well, I'm sitting here with Mini Big Show because like the guy I was working with had a shaved head and beard and literally looked like a Mini Big Show. So, I'd say little things like that. And he'd go, oh, so Piers, what can you tell me? I know that you understand. Listen, man, don't ask about my business, bro. Like, you just sit down and you just sit there and play good. And you just, you divulge the little kiddies with the things, man. I'll be the adults to really understand. I'll spit truth like snake spit venom, baby. So you just sit back and relax. I mean, like, just little things like that would just give that little bit of arrogance. A wrestler by the name of Vinny Vane, who is probably one of my closest friends in the business, he came up to me and was like, hey man, like, I'm going to give this up in a couple of years and I want to have a match against you. And I go, mate, nah, bro. Nah. I go, I'm 40 years old. Like, I was 40 at the time. I'm 40 years old, man. I'm not going to go and train. And like, mate, the stuff that I would that I'd have to train every single day for 2 years to get in shape, then learn how to wrestle, to do it justice where I would be happy and think that I'm good enough to do it. I said, even then, there's no way. I go, I love the business too much and I'm not that much of a mark for myself to actually go and like take someone's spot on a show that would be more deserving for that. Yeah. And he went, all right.
Yeah.
What about being my manager?
As good as the dream would be and a way to end that out and, have that in the memory bank. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mate, that's good thinking. That gratitude that you just showed, someone else deserves this spot. I'm not going to take, if someone's working hard behind the scenes, they deserve that spot. I've seen that immensely and fuck, I don't, all right, I'll throw him under the bus. He probably doesn't even know, but Ben Hannett, rugby league player in the Burleigh Open Surf Comp. Now, this was a QS event for everyone who knows surfing. It's 1,000 raider. Everyone comes to the local boys and all that just to get into that event. And then you basically keep going on your merry way for that. I've grown up over in Noosa Lombong and over in Bali and those guys, amazing surfers, but no opportunity. They live their own life and that. We had him over here, his first emergency for this comp. And we're sitting there for 3 days. It's like a 3-day build up and all the trials to get into this one heat. And the sponsors were the radio station. And Benny he wouldn't even thought about it. He just think, oh, how good's this? I'm getting a start in the comp. Yeah. Goes out there, takes the piss in the comp, jumps off the board, does a big polar bear. And in the meantime, Como's sitting there who could have won the comp. He's that good. And we couldn't get in because Benny hadn't done, but it wouldn't even ring on his alarm bells. But the point that you just said exactly then, like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to take this is my spot and this is my, area within this company and with this in this industry. but you just don't know. You don't know. Like that could have been anything for Como and his family. He could have won that comp, 2 more sponsors, kept on the road, and been one of the first Indonesian guys on tour. You just don't know those turning points or those opportunities. But yeah, I found that really arrogant. I never got to tell him that, and I'm sure it'd be waters off the duck back for him. But yeah, mate, that just resonated with me, what you said. That was
yeah, dude. Like I said, bro. Yeah, plus I don't think that, I don't know, man. Like it just wasn't my thing. But yeah, he said, well, how about you be my manager then? And we're like, all right. And we spent like 3 months putting together like how we put it together. How do we make this understandable? Like what his character is and what his character is going to be. So his character is someone who he thinks he's an A-list star that has been like hard done by and gets passed up by, you know, top feds and all this other thing. And he's pissed off. So he needs someone to come in, you know, he's sick of dealing with the bullshit politics in the business. So he's going to bring someone in who's going to be able to, who has no problems diving into the politics and the drama and the bullshit and going face to face and head to head with these people as his agent. And that's where like we had the idea of me being like, not like calling it a manager, but being an agent. So like that whole type of agent. So did you ever watch Entourage?
Yeah.
So my whole, and this is where people in wrestling, like just, they get so like surprised because they go, oh, did you get it from Jim Cornette? Did you get it from Bobby Heenan? Did you get it from, you know, Paul Heyman? Where did you pull this character from? I said, mate, I didn't even pull it from wrestling. I didn't pull, like I said, I pull little bits of inspiration from certain things. I said, but the main inspiration came from Ari Gold in Entourage.
How good.
And that was the whole thing. But it's like, okay, it's 2023, so I can't say certain things that he said in 2005. But then it's like, I can make that shit my own and, you know, go out there and, you know, say promos like I did before going, oh, you're the Make-A-Wish kid, right? Like, yeah. Go take a seat, bring you $50 back later, kid. We'll get that photo for you. You know what I mean? Like that's what, like little things like that where I can go
fast talking, witty. Yeah. People are like, oh, like stunned, but you're already on to the next thing. And you're like, oh, what's he going to do next? Sort of.
Even for an example, right? That show that we told you about when I came out with Banks, right? This woman, like I had the microphone and as I'm talking, where I'm in the ring and Banks is like this big dude and she yells at him, shake your hairy man boobs. And like, it was just so loud. So everyone in the crowd heard it. And like my response, I just went, you first, sweetheart. And then went back to the main thing, and then everyone just like the whole crowd's like, "What the?" You know what I mean? Like, she's gone, "Oh, that was brutal." Yeah. And, you know, as I've gotten out and after we've left, she's gone, "You're a little hobbit," and I go, "Yeah." I go, get on your knees, I'll show you Frodo. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like those, it's like those things you say because like, obviously this is a
people fan. Are there for that, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. But this is a fan who's been at shows multiple times before. And I know this fan loves that kind of banter where it's like, it wasn't at a show where there's a bunch of kids around. So you can say those little kind of things where it's like, it wasn't really appropriate, but it wasn't like over the line offensive either, where she didn't, even afterwards, that fan came up. She's like, oh, I hope I didn't offend you with what I said. And I'm like, no, I go, thank you for being a part of it.
Yeah, that's it, man. So what, I know we spoke about the scene and you're saying it's huge and there's heaps of different events and that. Have you seen it grow with technology? Like, is there like, are they streaming it? Do you still have to go to just live events? Like how do people find this sort of thing?
It's on Fight TV, man. Like there's a lot of promotions on Fight TV, dude, doing their thing. There's promotions like Combatants as well. Streaming services like Combatants, we stream a lot of the combat sports around Australia as well. Like a lot of the amateurs, a lot of like some of the pro fights as well, and some amazing fights over at combatants.com. You know, where that's a company I do a lot of commentating for in the combat sports world. So they do a lot of shows, but the pro wrestling world, man, is everywhere, dude. Like you can find it on, like the Australian scene is on YouTube. There's shows every weekend almost. As I said, man, there's good promotions out there. There's good wrestlers out there, and there's also shit wrestlers out there, and there's also shit promotions out there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name names because, like, let's face it, you know,
just give me a couple off air not to go to. Just go, let's I'll steer you this way, because if you go see that one, you won't come back.
Yeah, right, but that's the biggest thing, man. These shitty little feds, right? And the shitty bullshit that some of these people do. Like all it takes is for a fan to go to one show and go, this is what Australian wrestling is.
Yeah, I'm never coming back. Yeah.
No. But even some of the drama, like ridiculous bullshit that these people do at shows, as well, as far as like levels of what they do in matches, it's like, man, or like if you seriously fuck yourself up doing this shit, then you're gonna like wrestling in Australia will change like that, and it'll
there'll be rules, there'll be regulations. You'll be gone. There'll be no this, no that. There'll be some bureaucrat standing over the top of it saying you do this, that's shut down. Next minute, these guys have put 10, 20 years into building, like you said, these proper companies will be on the back on the brinks of it because they'll be. That's like the you see it in the UFC, like the downward elbow or the cross elbow. Like if you can change your 12 o'clock elbow to 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, it's legal. You come straight down 12 o'clock, bam, fight over. Like it's just. Yeah, man, there's some things. Mate, what's
sorry.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say, like, there's some rules like that they have in MMA and stuff like that. Like there's certain, like the downward elbow, right? Why is it that is so bad? Like, is it because it's like the blunt force of the point of the elbow going down? You know what I mean?
Look, that's what their thought is. But it was based off, back in the day, all the karate stuff, White House and bricks would go. Brrr. Yeah. So they based it off, you can't do that because of how much force is going through there. But I'm guarantee if someone comes down with an elbow, that they'd split those things exactly the same way. Like, or if they, got in a different, but it was just basically, no, we've seen too much of people like skull cracking, but if you change it by like that.
But even when they're doing that on the thing, right, it's not the actual power of it. It's the precision of the certain point that you hit it on at that. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
It's timing and it's positioning, and like the power of it is probably secondary.
Yeah, that's exactly. Like you see guys timing once they've got their eye in, like, in the midst of their perfect career, and they're landing those, those top two knuckles perfectly, just grazing someone's chin, and they're gone and they're out. Like, but it's just like that pinpoint perfection gone, where you see others flat fisting everyone throwing, and it goes for 12 rounds. But that just goes to show you. Or, mate, there's how many people do you hear of, like, this is to change the subject, but getting king hit from the side and hitting their head wrong on the ground. They didn't deserve to die or anything like that, but just that precision, and this is the whole.
That's happened in Sydney, man. That's what changed the whole Sydney nightlife span, like how many years ago, is because of the one punch attacks.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, bro. I worked in like security and was like the head of security for some of the biggest venues, like nightlife venues in Sydney through a period of time. And I was doing that from when I was like 18 up until like I was probably about 28, 29. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So like I
seen it all.
Even, yeah. And even by then I was going more into like the more management side of security and shit and stuff. So like, dude, I did 20 years in security and risk and stuff like that. So like the one punch attacks, and every time I saw that, I'd be like, man, that's so unfortunate what happened to that person and everything like that. But I always put it down to, like, no one just goes up and punches someone randomly for no reason. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's
99%.
90, yeah. Like, but when you sit there and like you would look at the people that did this, like a person to go up and just randomly punch someone or assault someone for no reason, nothing said, no words, no looks, no nothing, just go up and boom. That is psychotic behavior.
Yeah.
So that needs to be looked at from a different eye. But like the one punch attacks and stuff like that, man, like that was the one thing I always question, is like, because I'd spent years in security. It's like, man, people get belted when they
deserve to be.
When they, get a little bit too lippy, they get shit gets a little bit too fucking wild. They get a little bit too comfortable. They think their balls are a little bit too big for their pants.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, boom, you get like clocked and you get checked. And man, like that's the thing. Security guys, different story. People get upset with them when they're just like, I mean, some guys, because security guards that decide to get a bit egotistical or whatever, that can cause it. But I've seen guys have just refused someone entry and someone's turned around and assaulted someone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
and you got to remember, like, security guys, like, it's like, speaking out of term here, but this is like my thoughts on it would be, it's the same as anything. It's tap, 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 tap. So even though I'm coming to you with an interaction, you say no to me, I think you and me, that's your first reaction for the day, or interaction, I should say, where you've already had not 50 that night going, no, 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 100 that week going, no, no, no. And you've had like 500 for the whole, then going, just these negative little interactions. Fuck you. You're an arsehole. Don't do that. Yes, I can. Don't piss in the corner. Get in line. Blah, blah, blah. And it's just like,
but you see, when I would run crews, I would say to them, I go, if you see someone and someone goes, nah, I want your manager to come out and check to see if I want a second opinion. You're saying I'm too drunk, right? And every time I'm coming out, like, regardless if I think they're wrong, the guard is wrong or not, I'm backing my guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Regardless, I don't give a fuck, like, if you're not coming into a vet. I really don't give a fuck. Like,
yeah. I need him to show up at work tomorrow, and I need him to be good at his job tomorrow as well, not resent me and resent everyone. And then it just 3 months' time, there is an issue that you got to deal with because it's all balled over.
But also the fact is, if something pops off that night,
and
I'm in the middle of it, and then there's someone who's going to run with a bottle behind me and try and hit me, I need him to have my back to make sure that shit doesn't go down. You know what I mean?
And that got bad down here at the Goldie.
Yeah,
the glassings. I don't know what it was. It was a year period, and everyone still had schooner glasses, and everyone started going from punching to
the slashes.
Tank. And then all of a sudden, boom, plastic cups everywhere, all through the Goldie. Gone.
When I was 19, I saw one of my friends I worked in security with get glassed straight in the side of the jugular. I went there, I had my hands like that, and bro, like, he would literally like leaked out like maybe liters of blood. Like by the time the ambulance got there, my shirt, which was gray, was completely drenched in blood.
Survive?
Yeah, bro. Luckily, very luckily survived, bro. Like, but you know what, man? I just had to go down there, change my shirt, go back, and just get back on the door. You know what I mean? As I was saying before, dealing with these people, sometimes the way I would do it, I'd say to guys, let's have an easy night. I say, guys, on the door, anyone that you're going to want to knock back, instead of doing that, call me on the radio. I'll come out. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Just have a chat to my manager. You're not coming in tonight. Oh, you, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, cool, whatever. I go back inside. Oh, mate, blah, blah, blah. Then I'd say to my guard, this person's going off, look, man, he's a little 5'6" asshole. Like, you know what I mean? He's got a Napoleon complex. And I'd tell him, say all this shit about me. Say it. Okay, because then you get him on side. Yeah, mate, look, can you just get going? Because if he comes out, he's going to go off at me for talking to you. And like, he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And then he'd end up getting bro hugged by, he goes, yeah, that. I'd kick people out and they go, yeah, you're going to fight. Yeah, okay, mate, no worries. Yep, see you later. And I go back inside and the guys are going, oh, because their beef isn't with them I would have my guys do the same thing. They'd kick someone out, they go back inside. So they're not dealing with, oh, mate, look, yeah, I get it, mate. Yeah, you're not drunk at all, mate. Yeah, I get it. Look, come back tomorrow night, I'll buy you a beer. Yeah, you know what I mean? So you handle it at that. So then you're eliminating that kind of level of anger and intimidation and violence because when you're there, it's like, we don't need to go there. We don't need to sit here and show how big our dicks are because we're fucking the bouncers here. Yeah, okay, man, whatever. You're right, mate. 100%. Yeah. Thanks, man. Look, I'll see you tomorrow. Right? Bang. You know what I mean? Like, you just handle yourself like the ego. Like, as soon as you react to that shit, and that's the thing as well, like people reacting to stuff is like, as soon as you react to shit, you've lost the fight. You've lost the argument. You've lost the sit down. You've lost the whole thing because you've reacted. You've given them what they wanted.
Yeah, that's exactly, mate. Isn't it? It's a weird industry as well. Security, nightclubs, everything like that, because it's all based around that 18 to 30-year-old. Yeah, a bit older now, because some losers are still hanging out in there. But it's all testosterone. That no one knows really what they're doing. Maybe a couple of people have done a little bit of fight training, and other than that, it's just, young, dumb, full of cum, just fucking running with alcohol, testosterone, and trying to figure it out.
It would always surprise me, right? Like people that have like absolutely no skill or have never trained in fighting or boxing, MMA, or like combat at all, have no training. They're the ones that have the biggest balls when they have a few. But it's like, dude, I've actually trained like other, boxing and Muay Thai and MMA and stuff over the years and different sort of disciplines. And like, bro, I wouldn't say I'm a badass. I wouldn't even say I could fight, to be honest with you. But like in the same sense, I'm sure if it came down to it, I definitely can hold my own. Yeah. But even then, like, I don't really want to get into a fight with someone because number one, I'm 41 years old. I have 3 kids and someone else who has an issue with me is not worth me punching them and me going to jail and losing.
But you can see the ones who don't. Yeah, but you can see the ones who don't have that fight train, and like you said, because they're the ones that are aggressive. It's basically scared. That's the way I said. That's the way I always looked at it. Even though I was a rugby league player, until I learned, by no means am I a professional boxer or athlete or anything. I train still. Got some good coaches in the background at the moment. Shout out to Shano. But one, it's humbling, and two, whenever you're in a situation, you're calm. So you've gone from being a scared little boy to, I don't need this shit because this guy, I don't know what this guy knows. He might beat me, but I've got some skills but everyone else says,
100%. Did you see that shit that happened? It was actually in Queensland. I interviewed the guy. His name was Victor Lyle. He was an MMA fighter in Queensland. And there was these two guys that were just causing problem and inflicting, like, just beating up this guy or whatever for whatever reason. So Victor's gone in and gone, hey, blah, blah, blah. And he's drawn the attention of these two guys in. And as they're coming towards him, he's walking backwards. So he's giving himself space and distance, right?
Yeah.
He's got him coming in like this. So one of them comes in, he's like, ah! You know what I mean? So he's got the distance. They're coming in swinging, and he's like, obviously of a sound mind. He's looking for it. But one guy comes in, boom, head kicks this kid. And it's like precision, perfect timing. And this kid is like, then like, all right. And his mate's going,
nah.
Yeah, listen, man. I think we're good here, bro.
Yeah.
And the
Started giving bro hugs again. Yeah.
And the girlfriend's in the middle going, "You're a thing. My dad's a this and that."
That video. That my dad's a bodybuilder.
Yeah,
I've seen that, and he just check hooked him. He's coming in, he just goes bang, and he's out. He's going, but he's like for 5 minutes, he's just backing them off 10 minutes until they get too close, and you're just like, no.
How good was he? That was his timing. He was just like, nah. Okay, you've come in, bang. Now, you know, when they came into attack, he's just countered, and it's just like, as I said, even the girl, when the girl's like mouthing off, and the guy's like standing there going, like, you're like, no, we're good, bro.
No, we're good. We're that hard pass from now. But yeah, mate, that's a weird industry. I don't know how you did that for so long. But all right, well, let's what's coming up? What do you got on for us, mate? Give us some entertainment. Where are you heading with your commentary? Where's this, all the fighters that you're going to, and where do you see pro wrestling in Australia heading over the next couple of years? Give us a little insight into what's going on.
Well, mate, we had Impact Wrestling come out here not too long ago, which is the third largest promotion in the world. I had the honor of working for them for that show, doing ring announcing, which was a huge, huge honor. Upcoming, I've got a couple of shows that are leading up. I've got a show the 19th, I should say, on this coming Saturday, depending on when this drops. I'm doing a ring announcing for a boxing show out there, which is going to be like 20 plus fights. It's going to be a ridiculous show. Then I'm going to backing back up for Capital Carnage on the 26th, which is going to be another boxing event. It's going to be absolutely savage. So that's going to be available on combatants.com. Pro wrestling thing, I've got stuff coming up in September, November. Just check out my socials, man. And I'm going to be heading, but it's going to be, the character is going to be out there and on display for everyone, man. We're going to be rocking it out and just, dropping 2 podcasts every single week, as we always do, because, we like we like the grind, man.
Yeah, that's it. It's the same as everything. You got to show up to work. Hey, quick question. Do your kids love it? Like do you get to bring them to all these events that you're now involved in?
I don't, man. I try and I've brought my kids to a couple of events, and like the older one gets into it. My daughter's like, and the youngest is still like, he's only 2, so he's pretty young. So he's like really thing. But I don't know, like, to be honest, because I'm working at these events, it's hard to sort of like, unless my wife
have fun with them. Yeah.
Well, but the thing is as well, like, I'll be at an event 3 to 4 hours before it starts. Like if it's wrestling, same if it's a combat sports thing. So like I'm going filming content, doing certain things. So it's like, if I bring my wife and the kids, it's literally the wife, hey, go sit in the corner, or, what I mean? Like,
I'll see you in 4 hours. Yeah. You can't sort of bring them into it or anything.
Well, yeah, like there's not really much we can do there. So like it's You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the thing. So it's kind of boring for them. So
maybe when they get older. See, that's the one thing I speak about this. I've said it many times as well. Look, I was a backpack kid. My dad was 20 when he had me. I was everywhere. Went to footy games, lived at footy, lived at people's couches while they were still partying. You know, it was the best. It was the best life. And now us being older dads, I've got a 2-year-old as well. You know, I get invited to all these events and that, but I get, you know, I'm sort of like, oh, I want to bring him. But it's past that era, you know, 80s and 90s where we're growing up, where you could just put him to sleep behind you while you're commentating, you know, and he could get to see a little bit or anything like that. They're in the corner now and it's not so good. But I just want him to experience, you know, especially if we're going to some good events and everything like that, like moving forward in the future. But yeah, I guess it's what they take to, isn't it?
Well, and plus the wrestling thing, man. Like I feel like as the, you know, as when I started getting the threats and stuff like that, that kind of like was like, yeah, I'm not gonna.
Oh yeah, okay,
like,
yeah.
I'm not, because it's like if I'm at a show and I'm like, I don't know who these people were that, you know, from an account sending it, whether they're people inside the business or just fans or whatever. So it's like, you know, I mean, there's a select few I can trust in the industry, and it's like if they're not on the show, I can't really have my, you know what I mean? I don't really.
Yeah, I understand.
But even when they're there, it's like I don't want to take that risk of having them there and stuff like that, which I'm sure, you know, nothing would happen. But if the off chance that it did, then it's, well, I'll go to the boot and get the shovel and
that's right. You've brought him into a situation like a risky, like don't jump out of a plane if you got kids. Like there's another one. Like just don't put yourself in that situation, mate. What's your best? What's your favorite? Is it podcasting? Is it going into that villain role? Is it commentating like actual combat sports and, you know, being able to talk and meet all these, you know, athletes? Or if you had to choose one, or you know, the one that you get the most enjoyment out of, what would it be?
Oh man, I get different types of enjoyment out of all of it, to be honest. Like as different thrills, like the podcasting thing, I just love. Like I love raw conversations, and I love just like what we've just done for here. You know what I mean? That's what I love about podcasting, and like that being the villain and being in the pro wrestling world and playing that character. That's something that I really, really enjoy. Like that's sort of something where it's like that can bring out a different side of me, of my character, and allow me to express myself in a creative way where it can give me thoughts where it's like I would never really turn around and talk like that. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't talk like that in a real life situation. So I don't know, like I enjoy it. I get to be you know what I mean? So like, I get to do that, and I get to, you know, be in an industry that I love. So, and the combat sports thing, man, I love every opportunity I get to go there and to be able to call some action and to be given those opportunities, man. I'm just extremely grateful, man. And whatever the world wants to throw at me, bro, I'm just like, yeah, man.
Yeah, let's give it a go.
If I don't know how to do it, I'll learn on the fly. Let's go.
Mate, one of the best bits of content you're talking about, your villain role, that I've ever seen was, I think it was Larry, where he's at that picnic and he's like, Larry, you can't do that. And he comes out and he backhands every kid, backhands every wife, backhands all the husband, police come in. So, mate, keep it going. I thank you so much for coming on the Any Given Chance podcast, mate. Sensational to meet you and have a chat. And, mate, if you give yourself a plug, give all your socials a plug, give, you know, your podcast a plug as well. I'm going to be jumping on. You got to give me a couple of those controversial ones to listen to, because I'll put them in when I run in the morning. Because I get up, I run. That's all I do is listen to the podcast. So
yeah, bro, for sure. Yeah, man, you can find me on YouTube and also Spotify and wherever you find your podcast. Piers Austin. I'm the host of the greatest podcast in the world, shooting the shit uncensored, the truth, the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. You know who it is. The guy that spits facts like snakes speak venom, and you know that I'm going to be delivering some of the greatest content ever. So make sure you go and check it out. Find me on Twitter at Piers Austin and Instagram, the Piers Austin Instagram. So, but anyway, thank you so much, Matty. I've had a great time. This has been
fuck yeah, bro, mate. I really appreciate it. Drop the mic, bang.